What it do? Welcome back to After the Snap. I'm your host, Tasha Pierce, and this is Sunday, so that means we streaming something. Well, the something that we're streaming is Star Wars: The Book of Boba Fett. We're going to talk about episode. I think we had episode 3. We're going to talk about episode 3, and we're going to also talk about episode 7 of Star Trek Prodigy, and we're going to discuss the first 3 episodes of DC's Peacemaker. Those are the 3 shows that we're covering. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the party. Let's see here. So yeah, we're gonna have spoiler discussions of all of these shows. So if these are shows that you intend to watch and you want to enter these shows with no spoilers, well, this ain't the show for you because we are about to just spoil the shit. We're about to spoil everything. So, and of course, you are welcome to add your comments, your thoughts to this conversation. This is not a one-sided thing. I'm not teaching a class. We having a discussion. So anything that you want to add, you can do so in the chat. Super chats, super stickers, donations to the podcast or to the show are appreciated. I am inviting you right now to support the channel. You can also support me by going over to Patreon at Tasha Pierce, patreon.com/Tasha Pierce, where you can support the show on a monthly level. So there we have it. I don't know who I got in here with me today, but we about to jump this thing right the heck off. In the meantime, in between time, there's also a little segment that I do in between topics where you can discuss or you can make your recommendations for things that we should be streaming. So all of that is going on today, and I welcome you to this stream. I'm going to pull a couple of things up here while I'm waiting for anybody to come in the room. I am going to pull, get my stuff together here. Should have been together, but it is Sunday. It is Sunday. So I did chill really hard first half of the day. I did watch, let me see now. I watched a couple of movies that were streaming this week, and those movies, when I talk about movies, shucks. These were not movies that I would recommend, but at the same time, if it was something that you were interested in, watch it anyway. Don't just go by what I say, because you might find some value in those movies that I did not. So I'm going to talk about those when we get to what we watching. But in the meantime, what kind of day are you having? If you feel comfortable, tell me in the chat, what did you get into today? We're going to talk about Boba first, okay? Yeah, so in the meantime, tell me what you guys got into today, or if you got into anything. I'm going to go to Wikipedia and pull up some facts, because if you didn't know, I'm about to tell you. I'm learning more and more about this character, Boba Fett, as the series goes on. Now, I understand that if you were a person who was into Star Wars for decades, or even if you probably are more, hey, Bun, you're probably more into or more associated with this character than I am. And that's okay, because I'm learning about him. And a lot of what I'm learning is that people have very strong opinions on the way brunching a beer, Mr. Brown. I almost expected you to have the kiddos today, man. But I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad you're here in the place. Love to see your face in the place, sir. So, yeah, it's a lot of people who are not particularly happy with the show. So far, I've been happy, and if you are one of those diehard Star Wars fans and you got things to say, you got you got opinions, let me know. Let me know, because I honestly I thought it's been good. But with no further ado, since I got a couple of my friends in the chat, we're gonna try to get things started as soon as I figure out where I am at. I guess I'm right here. Okay. Oh, before one more thing. I had some new people in the chat for my Euphoria discussion last week. And in the meantime, while I was doing that show, I was eating some French fries that my son was kind enough to bring me from Chick-fil-A. And, I was eating my fries. Now, and I don't know who's here or who will watch this on the rebroadcast, I got a few comments that spoke about how unprofessional it was for me to eat while I was discussing Euphoria. And if that offended you, I apologize. But I also want to remind you that you are new to this space. So you don't know what kind of channel this was. There's channels that are wholly dedicated to eating on camera. Now, this ain't one of them, but one thing I do know is that when I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. And if I've already made an appointment or set a date and a time to be here, my intention is to be here. So I'm going to eat. Yeah, I am. I might drink. I'm going to swear because this is my space. Now, doesn't mean that I'm setting out to intentionally uh, offend anybody. Never in my wildest dreams would I imagine using my little platform to intentionally uh, piss anybody off. But please know, this is my space. This right here, this little corner of the world is mine. If I choose to eat, I'm gonna eat. I ain't gonna smack. I'm not gonna talk with food in my mouth. I'm going to be polite. But if I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat. So now that we've gotten that understanding, I do invite whomever to come in and join in the conversation. But what you're not gonna do is tell me what I can and can't do, unless, of course, you're putting some money behind it. Now, if you show me them dollars, I'm probably going to make some concessions for you. Okay, so now rant is over. Rant is over. Let's get to talking about this book of Boba, The Streets of Mos Espa. Now, this is the third episode of the book of Boba Fett. And oops, didn't mean to do that. And it is, let me see what the official description is. Boba Fett must deal with two very different threats. And I liked at the beginning of this, and of course, I don't know the animals. I don't know the little beasts and monsters that they have. Don't know what to call them just yet. I do know what a rancor is. Learned that today. Well, I learned that, but yeah, I know what a rancor is. But the streets of Mos Espa began with us seeing one of these little creatures eat another creature, and then another creature came around and ate him. And that is what we call foreshadowing. Because what happens is we got two very different threats that Boba is facing, and one creature ate him, and we might see another creature turn around and be eaten. So we got to keep our eyes on that, because that was a very deliberate way to start this episode. And I don't know, Clarence is in here. I hope we get some more of our Star Wars experts in here to tell me exactly what the heck kind of animal is this. This is like a spider with a brain in a jar. I don't particularly know what that means. But if you do, please feel free to tell me in the chat, because I've seen this thing before. I don't know what to call it. Let's see. So it starts with oh, I guess if I just want to look at Wikipedia, it's gonna give me the answer. It says the episode opens uh, with a Bomar order brainwalker. Skid Bomar. Oh, Clarence says he don't know the name, but he thinks there's some kind of monks. We're about to learn together here because I see this is in the plot summary for on Wikipedia. I'm sorry, and it will I guess give me an explanation as to what this brainwalker. It's a Bomar order brainwalker, and it's skittering across the rocky desert outside of Boba Fett's palace on Tatooine. 88 is briefing Boba Fett and Fennec Shand about the businesses that were under the protection of the name that should not be spoken. But of course, we know that Boba ain't afraid of Jabba's name. You can use the name Jabba the Hutt. And the droid did oblige. Boba Fett reassured the droid that the Hutt is dead and that he can't hurt them. So then 88 started to explain that he was concerned that his new master would feel insulted by using the name of Boba Fett. But anywho, 88 does say that hey, there was a sail barge disaster. That was the sail barge disaster that created the power vacuum. That disaster was at about the time of Jabba the Hutt's death, and Boba Fett being, in the guts of the Sarlacc. So Bib Fortuna had assumed Jabba's mantle, and Mos Espa was divided among three families. The Trandoshians took the center, the Aqualish took the workers' district, and the Klatooinians took over the starport and the upper sprawl. Now, since Master Bib did not have Jabba's power, he relied on uneasy alliances to preserve his tribute and title. So we're seeing that Bib Fortuna wasn't a formidable daimyo. He happened to be at the right place at the right time. Jabba the Hutt was killed. He assumed the throne. Because he didn't have Jabba's power, he made deals to keep his own power, and the deals that he made will not be in alignment with what Boba Fett wants to do. We also saw the watermonger. The Gamorrean guards brought him in, and this guy wanted to talk to Boba. He said, since Lord Fortuna's death, the streets of Mos Espa had turned into chaos, and people were like still in his water, basically. Still in his water. Now, the fact that he is a water kind of merchant, it kind of hits me a little later of why something bothered me, something got under my skin. So, Mr. Brown, it's kind of like the way you felt about the voices in in Star Trek Prodigy last week. I had one of those moments this week, and I think it did cost this episode a few points to me because y'all know I can nitpick, but we'll get to that. These kids had been, I guess, stealing his inventory, and they brought the gang in, and as soon as he brings the gang in, Boba Fett says, hey, I want you to work for me. If you guys want to work, I'll have you to work here. And that pissed the watermonger off. Oh, before I get to that, that pissed the watermonger off. And so now Boba's got this new little group of kids, and what we see is, I guess he's building an army that he doesn't know he's going to need, because now he's got the Gamorreans on his team, he's got these kids on his team. Like anybody that comes in and not a sob story, but it's you feel like these people just need a place. Boba brings them into his fold, and it's because of the lessons that he learned with the Oh gosh. The why am I losing Tusken Raiders? It's because of what he learned with the Tuskens. Um, Now I'm going to move to the next slide because it was a shock and a surprise to me because in the flashbacks we saw these heads on a pike, and of course I've seen this before. I think I saw it in the Mandalorian. Something else that I saw in the Mandalorian is this lady right here. You see this lady in the background over here? This is taken straight out of a scene of The Mandalorian. So it's just a different angle. But that's Peli Motto, and she was the lady who had babysat. Oh, that's from Mandalorian. Yeah. She was the lady that had babysat for Grogu. So she's made this little cameo, probably without knowing. But my question is, will she play some type of role in this show? Will we see more of Peli Motto in this show? It was just a nice little callback to Mandalorian. So at the beginning or in the flashback, we see Boba. He's on his way to go holler at the members of the Pike Syndicate to go and collect, to collect the toll that he had called for on when he let them go. And this is where Boba is learning that mercy, it shouldn't be granted to everybody. And I guess maybe that's me feeling like mercy shouldn't be granted to everybody. He goes and asks for the toll. They say, hey, we already paying somebody. We're not about to pay two people. Get that straight. And then, we'll be happy to do business with you. But until then, I'll feel taken advantage of. We're not going to pay two people to go on the same route. Okay. I get it. Pike Syndicate man. What is his name? I got to find his name in here. Pike Syndicate man is what I'm calling him. But anyway, he don't have a name. He's just spoken to his superiors on Obadiah, and they are not paying for protection to more than one party. We got it. We understand. Boba heads back to the Tuskens so that they can formulate their next plan. And he finds out that the freaking little settlement that he was with and the tribe that he was a part of had been raided. And all of his little family that he chose just last week that I was so excited about, that entire family looks like they were killed. So now Boba does this whole ritualistic funeral, for lack of a better term. He puts them away in the way that they would respect and expect of another member of their tribe. And yeah, so you let these fools go, and I'm pretty sure we saw the man, Clarence. That was like the biggest surprise of the week for me because it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Yeah, it kind of made me upset because I'm like, why did we spend this much time getting these people together and introducing us to their customs and everything just to kill them all off? Do I think all of them died? I hope not, because he had a very special relationship with that female Tusken and with that child. And I kind of hope they got away. I kind of hope some of them got away. So I would figure that some of them stayed and fought and others ran to keep some members of their tribe, I guess, living. It's always good to be living. So yeah, that bothered me. It did. It bothered me. But we got to pull out some liquor for the Tuskens who lost their lives in this, I guess, this ambush. And then, and of course I put this in the wrong order, but this is the watermonger, and I think he's going to turn out to be another enemy simply because things didn't work out on his behalf. He felt like Boba should have done something to those kids, that little gang. That was number one. And then number two, when he asked for a certain amount of money, Boba said, "You are overcharging people. You take what I gave you. That's about a reasonable price." And he left out in a huff. So this is another person that we kind of have to keep our eyes on, I guess. Now, here comes my hot take. This little gang that Boba hired, they ride on these little scooters, and they are all chromed out and shiny, and their clothes are so clean. They look clean. The whole environment around them is all dirt and dust, and we know that there is not an abundance of water on this planet. So how we keeping all this shit clean? And when it bothers me when things are introduced that don't fit the surroundings around them. I'm glad you hated it too, Clarence, because really, they did the bikes didn't add much to the story. They didn't excite me. I'm pretty sure it's to sell toys. We understand that there's a whole merchandising effort around these shows. It ain't just because they love us so much. They want to sell toys. I get it. I got it. But this right here didn't even make sense to me. The bikes are clean. The people are clean. And when it comes time to use these bikes, I was hoping and praying that I would be so impressed when we got to using the bikes that I would forget the fact that I hate them. It did not work out that way for me. I left this episode really not liking these characters. Not saying that the characters are bad. Their introduction was really bad. Clarence said, I can see those bikes on Coruscant. Yes. Tatooine. No. Now, it ain't even a reminder. Tell me what planet is Coruscant? Which one? Where have I seen that planet before? So I'll know exactly how to mix it up in my mind to make it make sense to me. Because you're right. These bikes should be filthy. Now, there was a second picture that I think I might have in this gallery that shows the underside of the bikes were filthy. That made me feel a little better, but my skin crawled when I saw these bikes. It really, really did. But then we got back Black Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum? Is that a chrysanthemum? Black Chrysanthemum. Man, Boba got his ass whipped by Black Chrysanthemum. But my bigger question is, how is he even surviving? This is a Wookiee with this super strength. You saw how he was just tossing Boba around the room where the bacta tank was, capital of the Empire. Okay, I still don't know, but I can pretend like I know right now. I want to know how he is surviving these fights. Is Boba like souped up or super powered? And I know the bacta tank is what they use to heal, but just one punch. We see Black Chrysanthemum winding up for this punch, and he's got these electrocuting kind of knuckles on. How in the world would you survive the punch and the electrocution coming from Black Chrysanthemum? It starts to feel like Boba can survive anything. Of course, Boba was going for the more technologically advanced weapons at first. When he first got into this battle, he started to get a better grip on the fight when he picked up the staff that he made with the Tusken Raiders. Still, he was not any match for Black Chrysanthemum, but Boba's kindness has been rewarding him, and the fact that he has shown mercy to the Gamorreans. He has shown mercy to these kids on these bikes that I hate. They came in and they assisted him in not getting the upper hand of the fight, but at least making it, I guess, I don't even know, like the fight became a little more balanced when all of them started jumping Black Chrysanthemum. But it wasn't until Fennec Shan pulled the plug and had him locked up in the Rancor pit that they finally got him all the way together. They got him off of their backs. So now, and Black Chrysanthemum also bit Boba Fett. When Boba was going for his eyes, Black Chrysanthemum bit him. I want to know, do Wookiees carry rabies? Is there do we need to be worried about Boba right now? Because that did not look good. But it was good to me that Black Chrysanthemum wasn't just a, hey, see what we got? Black Chrysanthemum. Order up the toys, Bob. No. They gave him something to do. And I don't think that we've seen the last of Black Chrysanthemum after this episode. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan. I've been saying it. And yeah, I'm not a fan of Boba's clique. But you can see in these pictures, at least the undercarriage of the bikes are dirty. Well, we see this is when Boba was going to see the mayor, because he got to know, why are you sending these? Why are you playing with me? I've been nice. I haven't killed you. I haven't threatened you really even. Why are you sending people to kill me? So they're on their way to talk to him. Of course, the mayor's little henchman, he made an escape. And this is when I'm like, okay, we're going to find out how these bikes are going to come in handy. So he came in, he made his escape, and I don't even have a picture of it. He made his escape with the little Cadillac of little speeders that he had. And then, okay, here they come with these souped up motorbikes. And it was the slowest chase that I think I've seen. At least for me, it was pretty slow. It was a slow speed chase. And it made me even less impressed by these dumb bikes. And these very clean kids that were riding them. I didn't like it. Not a fan. But okay, so now we know that the mayor is working with the Pikes, and shit, it's gonna be a war. And we know it is. We know it is. Furthermore, okay, I had another little complaint, but it was like not a complaint. It's like, come on, Boba. Come on, Fennec. Come on, kids on the freaking motorbikes. Somebody tell me. You telling me that these fat fucks slithered their asses on this platform and had these folks carry them all the way over to Boba's mansion so that they could give up the territory and bring Boba a gift? So I'm saying, I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. This has got to be a grift. They're telling him it's in your best interest to also get the hell off this planet. We don't want to have anything to do with it. Somebody even bigger than what you know of is coming to take possession of this territory. So now we know that we got a bigger threat, bigger than these two big huts, if we trust the huts. He gifted the huts, gifted Boba a Rancor. And now this Rancor is supposed to be a beast that you feed your enemies to. That is supposed to be kind of your enforcer. This is the last line of defense. If you get close to Boba's throne, they open up this bottom and y'all get eaten by the Rancor. So is the Rancor a Trojan horse? That's my question. That's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I also was very excited to see the guy that is the Rancor's handler. What was his name? What is his real name? Help me if you know. What is the real name of the character who is playing the handler? I can't remember his name, but I was happy to see him. I'm glad that he's gotten something to do in the Star Wars universe. But we find out that Rancor, that Boba plans to treat the Rancor almost like a pet, almost like a horse in a Western. You would meet this animal, and he says, "Hey, this is an animal that I would like to ride." So now we are getting more of that Western flavor with Boba and the connection that he has to his brand new baby Rancor. But I still think that this Rancor is a Trojan horse. That there's something nefarious about the gift. Uh, the gift was not given with a good heart, in a good heart. So that's my thoughts anyway on the Rancor being a Trojan horse. Uh, I'm going to be very interested in seeing Boba ride this thing. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing it. I know that there are those who said that they have seen of Boba Fett's uh, clone ride one in the Clone Wars series. I'm going to be happy to see him do it in the live action series. And also, there was mention that Boba said that he's ridden Beast 10 times this size. And then we go back to one of those like Christmas specials or something where Boba was riding this great big old thing. So it all lined up. You could tell that these are people who know the canon, know the backstory, know every intricate detail of the Star Wars lore, and they are making it all fit in this series. Let me see what Clarence has got here. Said, do you think Boba is being too nice? Helps the bikers, befriends the Rancor, lets Chrysanthemum go. I think the thing is that some of it is showing him that even when you are being nice to people, that doesn't mean that they're going to return your kindness with kindness. So that's when I guess we're going to have to see Boba up his game up. Do I think he's being too nice? In a lot of ways, yes. He is showing them that he has all of this mercy and goodness in his soul now that he didn't parlayed with the Tusken Raiders. He's become a better person, but that doesn't mean that everybody that he encounters is going to be a good person. So far, he's only been bitten in the ass once, but it was a big bite, and that big bite was the Pike Syndicate. When he let them go, to me, in my mind, they sent, or even that gang that he was fighting in the bar, by not killing them, by letting them go on their way, they came back and they hurt the people that he loved. And I'm wondering if he took anything from that lesson, because I see that he's taken an awful lot from the lessons that the Tuskens inadvertently taught him. They didn't know that they were teaching him a lesson. He was learning. The Tuskens taught him these lessons, and he took a lot away from it. But now he has to learn that there is a time to kill. It's like just like the movie. There's a time to kill. And Black Chrysanthemum, I believe, is going to realize that he was working on the wrong team. I think Black Chrysanthemum is going to come back and be an ally to Boba, especially when this war goes down, because we know we're going to war. Now, hopefully, things pick up and we get to see the blending of the two different facets of Boba Hutt. Gosh, Boba Fett. We get to see that he does have a merciful side, but then there's also that vengeful side, and there is a time to bring those two sides together. I hope we get that, a little bit of that, in the next episode, because if not, I'm not going to understand what the point of this series is if we don't get something from Boba. Something. He's got to respond, and he's got to respond in a way that shows his might, and not just, oh, I'm a good person now. You guys didn't realize, hey, I'm a good guy. No, we need to see him display a little vengeance on the people that hurt him, his friends, his family. We need to see him. We need to see him take revenge. Exact revenge. That's it. What do you think, Clarence? You think Boba is being too nice? Because the fact that you posed that question to me tells me that you have opinions. And while I'm waiting for the opinion, I'm gonna say that this was, to me, the weakest of the episodes, but it still was a good episode. There were the things that I nitpicked. There were the things that I'm feeling like they're making Boba a little too naive in certain situations, because taking that Rancor, it was a display of trust on Boba's behalf to the Hutts that he didn't have to show. You didn't have to trust them. The way you met them is they were trying to kill you. Yeah. In the flashbacks, he's been winning up until the Tuskens die, and in the present, he's getting his tail kicked. Yes, but again, I think it's because it's one, like, with the Tuskens, it was a group of people, and he was indoctrinated to their ways. It's a whole lot harder when it's one person trying to indoctrinate the society around him into his ways. And he's learning that. Of course, again, he got some W's with getting a little group, what I'm calling his clique, with Boba's clique. He's getting a little clique together, and it looks like they are feeling some gratitude for the way that he treated them, so that his clique will become an army, and then they will be able to fight whatever's coming, because something is coming. I agree with you, though, Clarence. Here, you say you don't think he's being too nice, but it's time for him to kick some tail. And I hope the next episode begins that, where we start to see him kick some tail, because at the end of it all, it's the war coming, whether you want to fight it or not. War is coming, and you either fight or die. And the rebirth of Boba Fett shows us that he wasn't ready to die, so he's gonna have to fight. Excuse me. And I am interested in seeing how they close this thing out. They have to it's got to be high action. Next week has to show us him building an army and him being prepared for whatever is coming. And in that final episode, I think we're gonna get all kinds of stuff in the mix. I don't particularly expect to see Mando. I don't. I don't particular. I do think we'll see Pelimato. I do think she will show back up. Hopefully, the little group that he's gotten together. I hope they got more people, because you're gonna need people. You're gonna need far more people, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I'm in agreement. It's time for him to kick butt. Hopefully, we get some of that in next week's episode. Yeah, but as far as, it was a decent episode. Wasn't bad. Wasn't just like, oh, past the time. It was a decent episode. I just have nitpicks. I really, really hated the bikes and the bikers. They should have been a little more grungy. And this was even worse than the way that I felt about how clean everybody was in the Wheel of Time. This is even worse, because we are watching. We're literally seeing everybody else in this entire community look like they belong in the community, and they hear these kids come, and they look like they about to go to the club. Claire said, "This is the first one I haven't immediately watched twice. I haven't watched this one twice either. The more I think about it, and I'd have watched the other ones twice. This one, some of them more than twice. This one, not so much. Didn't. Of course, I'm not going to aggravate myself. I told y'all how I felt about them things, those bikes, and I wasn't about to aggravate myself by watching it again. It bothered me. So here we are now. Gosh, I think we only got 2 episodes left of the Book of Boba Fett. So let's pick things up. Come on now, Star Wars. Come on now, Disney. Pick it up. Before we move into Prodigy, I'm going to ask the question that I ask every week on Sunday, and that is, what you watching? So if you got anything new, put it in the chat. If not, I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to briefly tell you. I told some of us yesterday, if you were with me, I watched a movie called Brazen. That's the one that's on Netflix with Alyssa Milano. Still beautiful, still very, very gorgeous lady. Horrible movie. Horrible movie. Horrible movie. But Alyssa Milano looked good. You don't get too many points, I don't think, for looking good, but she did. She still is a beautiful woman. Just the episode was, I mean, the movie was garbage. Now, I also watched Black Bear. That one is on Hulu. That one was, it was different. And I felt one way about it. But after you sit and think about the movie, it does begin to wear on you, like what you witnessed happen. That one, I gave a very low star rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But the more I think about it, I'm like, it really wasn't that bad. Wasn't the best movie that I've seen this year. It's really not hard to be the best movie of the year when I've seen only 3 movies. But these two managed to hang out at the bottom for me. The movie that I really enjoyed that came out last year, but I didn't see it till this year, was Tick, Tick, Boom. And Tick, Tick, Boom, didn't think I was going to like. It's a musical. Man, I fell in love with that movie and Andrew Garfield. I didn't know Andrew Garfield had all of that. It was good. I also didn't know he was a Tony Award winner. Shame on me. Clarence said he watched the first episode of Yellowstone, which you quite enjoyed. I've been hearing a lot about Yellowstone, and I'm like, do I want to get into it? You might be able to sell me on it, Clarence. I'm going to give you an opportunity to see a couple more episodes and then tell me how you feeling maybe maybe at 3 episodes. Because I think 3 episodes of a 10 episode series or an 8 episode series, 3 episodes is fair. And that's why with Stream Something, as more series come out and we are looking to replace old ones, especially ones that we're not liking, I think that it will have to pass a 3 episode test, which means we can discuss, for instance, Peacemaker. Peacemaker just came out. They dropped 3 episodes. I watched all 3. I don't know if everybody else watched all 3. If you didn't like Peacemaker and a consensus, like out of the group, enough of us say we don't even want to follow Peacemaker anymore. We drop Peacemaker and pick something else up. So let me know how you guys feel about that format for the show moving forward. Clarence also said he watched more Clone Wars, finally got through the first season, which isn't very good in his opinion. Second season starts off strong. I'm gonna have to get into it, man. I'm letting the number of seasons and episodes kind of make me say, should I even get into this? Y'all are selling me on it more and more, especially as I learn more about the stories that can be told in the Star Wars universe. It is making me more interested in finding out who else might show up in future shows and future movies. So I might have to get into it. I just might. So Clone Wars, it could actually be somebody, if there's anybody else who hasn't watched Clone Wars and wants to get into it, let me know. Send me an email, and I'm gonna, I guess, put my email at the bottom here so that you can send me an email, and maybe we can do that on something separate. Okay, so Clarence said, yeah, it may even be worth just watching the best stories of Clone Wars. So is there some place where they have gotten a compilation of will it be maybe on Wikipedia, what I'm looking at right now, where they got a compilation and they're telling you these are the best episodes, best story arcs. I wonder if we've got something like that out there. And then it would be good for me to talk to a couple of more people who are deep into that Star Wars life. Because honestly, a less intimidating catalog is Star Trek, the animated series, and I still haven't watched any of those. And I've been watching Star Trek for forever. Forever. You say you're looking at the essential episodes list on Kotaku. I don't even know what that is, but I'm gonna write it down because that is going to at least give me a place to start, right? Kotaku. It'll help if I spell it right. So yeah, that to me, I'm trying to think, is there anything? Oh, and I also mentioned a couple other series that I was watching. Now you're watching Yellowstone, and you might be able to sell me to start Yellowstone, Clarence. One of the things that I started was Station 11. Is that the name of it? Station 11. And I'm also I'm going to start Raised by Wolves. Those are two that I am very interested in, and I'm going to be starting. Well, I've already started one. I'm going to be starting the other soon. So those are more things that if you're looking for something to watch and you haven't watched these shows that we are suggesting, give them a try, and then join us back here on Sundays at 6, where we can discuss what you've watched. And I got some new stuff to watch too. All right. Let me pull while I was sitting here talking, I was supposed to be pulling up my Star Trek my Star Trek stuff. Doody 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 doo. Doody 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 doo. Here we are. And this week for me, my Star Trek Prodigy, this episode, it took us away from what we had been doing. And did we need to go away? I guess we did. I guess we did. We did. We are still getting little nuggets of the dilemma as to whatever happened to the first crew of the Protostar. But we need to learn more about these characters that we picked up along the way. And this one dives a little bit more into Dal. I'm still a bit confused by Dal and his situation, but this does give us a little bit more insight into his thinking. Why does Dal think and believe, hold the values or the lack of values that he has? This explains an awful lot. An awful lot. And maybe, just maybe, we will get an indication. We also got a little bit more about Murph. We got some last week where Murph is pretty much indestructible. So we got these things going for us this week in Star Trek Prodigy. So, I didn't even do well. I don't know if you guys will notice what I didn't do with this slide, but so lower scale episode this week. Dal is recording. It begins with Dal recording his captain's log, and the ship is looking a little bit lived in. But of course, you kind of expect it to be a lived in ship when you've got all of these kids running this ship. Janeway is probably unable to keep up with this many little kids at one time. So we see that holographic Janeway is still trying to figure out what happened to the first crew. All of a sudden, in this, they fall in love. They find pie. They find pie, and the pie is pizza pie. The kids have discovered the replicator and what it can replicate, and they have fallen in love with pizza, and that is something that we have in common. I love a good pizza myself. They also find the transporter room. We had been wondering why there hadn't been any use of the transporter, not even by a holographic Janeway. So the question is, had that piece of information that the transporter even existed, had that been purged from her memory or something? Because they hadn't been using this transporter and they discover it, and now they're transporting every damn thing. They're seeing how far they can send inanimate objects, and then they move on to putting little Murph in the transporter. Now they sent him. I don't know where they thought they were sending him, but they sent him outside of the ship. Of course, the outside of the ship is no match for Murph. He was just fine, just fine. So they introduced the kids, the young audience who is watching Star Trek Prodigy, who the show is made for. My big grown ass is sitting here talking about this show. They made this show for the kids. They introduced the transporter to the kids at the beginning of the episode because in this situation is Chekhov's gun. You introduced the transporter in the beginning of the episode because you knew you were going to use it at the end of the episode. Very good. It keeps the kids' interest in this object, and they may not have remembered it if you waited until the next episode or the episode after that. But to use it all in the same episode, I thought was good, especially with the attention span of the intended audience. Let me see. And then we hear a distress signal, and they are going to see who needs help. Janeway is saying we're going to help whoever this is. Turns out it's a goddamn gone Ferengi. Now, does this bother you? It didn't bother me a lot, but I did think about it. And of course, this is a kid's show, so this is not for me. It's got little nuggets and little things in here for me, but it's not made specifically for my age range. Okay, what the hell is this Ferengi doing all the way out near the flipping Gamma Quadrant? Or is this an indication that Deep Space Nine's wormhole is still active? So answer, if you got a thought or or anything, because if it's showing us a Ferengi ship all the way near the Gamma Quadrant, that to me would indicate that they came in through Deep Space Nine, through the wormhole, and then came to the Gamma Quadrant. So yeah, okay, clearance. Because I'm like, the universe is very small if you're going to run into a Ferengi ship in the Gamma Quadrant without saying that this wormhole still exists. The wormhole has to exist for this Ferengi to be out here. Now, this particular Ferengi, as you said, either they came through it or either they came through it before it closed. And then you're asking, didn't it close? And I can't remember it. I didn't watch I've watched Deep Space Nine forever and ever and ever, and I don't remember if it closed. I'm gonna have to watch those last few episodes again to remember. I don't remember if it closed. So if it closed and she got trapped on this side, it would work for her being able to pretty much raise Dal on this side of the wormhole. Wait just a hell of a minute. Wait. It all depends on how old we're saying Dal is. Excuse me. We know that Gwen is 17-ish. So if Gwen is 17 years old, Dal would have to be 15, between 15 and 17 himself, I think. So now if we've got a 15-year-old, that means that she had Dal for some portion of his life for him to be looking at her as some type of surrogate parent. So how long was she? How long was she on this side of the wormhole? That's a question. and exactly. And how did he get to the Delta Quadrant? Now, part of me says he got to the Delta Quadrant because she said she sold him. So she said she sold him, and maybe a ship with a higher warp capacity or a different kind of drive got from the Gamma Quadrant to the Delta Quadrant. That part would make a little sense to me. But yeah, it's like the questions just bring about more questions. And it's one thing for me to come up with questions as I'm watching. It's something else to voice the questions. Once I start saying it out loud, yeah, that question leads to a whole different question. And before you know it, this show was not just made for kids. It's made for it's made for me because it's stumping me in so many different ways. But I like it. But we find out that she was his kind of surrogate mother. It's us also good to see that she's a daemon, which means all of this occurred under, what was his name? Lord have mercy. Wait a minute, is Rom. Under Rom's leadership, all of this happened because he was trying to make things equal and bring about an equality among the Ferengi people. So she is an example of Rom's kind of legacy as the Nagus of the Ferenginar. Exactly. She, thank God, she's got clothes. She's got clothes, and she's a daemon. Wow, and she's draped in all kinds of chains and whatnot. See, you see her drip. You see her dripping. But yeah, so that was. I guess I'm. There are some questions still, and each question leads to another question. So let's just get to the next things. Yeah, we see that there's also she needs a crystal that can only be gotten from this one planet, and there has never been any visitors to this planet. She needs this crystal because she said she needed it for something. I forgot what she needed it for. Let me see if it's in this thing where she said that she needed it for. And the name of her ship is the Damsel. We learned that Dal slept under the engine in the Damsel, and he watched the stars through a little tiny portal. So that, he's loyal to her. He had nowhere to go. She gave him somewhere to go. Even though it was not the most ideal situation, he appreciated it. And so she had his loyalty. And of course, she kind of guilt tripped him into helping her by using their ship to go and see this new planet. Now, because she wants them to meet a species who has never met any other alien species before, this was a prime time for our kids who are watching Star Trek Prodigy to learn what the prime directive is. And of course, when Janeway is teaching a class, I love it Now, my question. Okay, I always got a question. I guess you guys are noticing. I always got a question. Oh, you said that felt like a shout out to Firefly. Their engineer, Kaylee, slept in the engine room. And it might have been, I know that's one I never got into either. And I heard that that was an excellent series. I don't know why I've never watched Firefly, but that's got to be something else I need to put on my radar to watch because I had no clue. I have heard how good it was though. So maybe if I had watched it, maybe I would know that that this sounds an awful lot like Kaylee. But yes, Janeway, she when she's giving her classes on the level of the students. So who does she expect her crew to be? Because if the crew was originally Starfleet officers led by Chakotay, this would all be stuff that they knew. But now she actually has uh, the visuals and the teaching aids to teach this I guess to teach this ideal to a younger group. I'm glad she does because it makes the kids understand, you know, speaking on their level. But yeah, I think also Janeway is doing a heck of a job teaching them the basics of the Federation, what she needs to know first, what they need to know first. And the Prime Directive is a big one. And as we can see, if you look over here to the right of the of the screen, you see Damon Nandi sitting there looking. I mean, she is really comfortable and chilling as they learn about the Prime Directive. So I thought that was funny. So yeah, so now we're going to go down to the planet. We're going to go down to the planet now that the kids understand what the Prime Directive is. One of the things I liked is that they used, first of all, she allowed these kids to go down and make first contact. So that's first and foremost. You don't interfere with less advanced cultures. Clarence, you say the Ferengi look great animated. I think so too. I think actually she, when I look at the closer up picture, the rendering of the Ferengi actually looked better than what I thought they did with Spock and Odo and all of them last week, because Spock looked a little scary to me. Even though I know it's Spock and I and I know the character, it was like that rendering was scary to me. Whereas the one with Damon Nandi, yeah, she looks like a Ferengi animated. It looked good. So yeah, she is what Janeway did was what we call classic when in teaching a younger group in God. This is I kind of miss it. This is one of the things that I did as a manager in fast food. When I was managing Taco Bells, I'm getting kids. They were coming in as 16 years old to maybe 18. This is their first job. I got to. I'm going to show you and then tell you and then let you demonstrate it to me. And this is what Janeway. That's what she employed when she was teaching these kids. She told them, then she showed them, and then she let them go out and do it. And first contact might be a little bit more difficult than making a Nacho Bel Grande, but she did give them the benefit of the doubt. And Clarence, you said Spock and Crusher both felt off to you. Yeah, I mean, especially for me, it was especially Spock. Crusher, I don't know. I had to look at her again. I got to look at her again. But it bothered me. Spock bothered me. Yeah, it was something about the way that they rendered him in animation that just it still was Spock, but it was something about it that was scary to me. Oh gosh. So it's a big deal, this whole Prime Directive and First Contact. And as we see the title, it says First Con tact. So we know that there's a con coming. There is a con coming. And of course, dealing with the Ferengi, we know it's a con coming. I wonder why Janeway didn't realize that. Like, why Janeway didn't point out that that Ferengi are kind of duplicitous. Like they will present a situation that seems like a win-win, but it's a bigger win for them. I wonder why she didn't like tell the kids. Maybe because of Dow's relationship with Nandi, previous relationship. And I don't know. Maybe Janeway is a little bit off. Maybe all of her little plugs are not plugged in because something, that should have been something that was I'm gonna pull aside the captain or the first officer or somebody and give them a different viewpoint of what they need to be careful about when dealing with Ferengi. Now, there's this beautifully designed planet that they had, where the people on the planet use harmonics to communicate. Uh, they called it acoustic terraforming. So, and that to me was a beautiful idea. It was beautiful that each one of these characters that were sent down had something to add to this, to the equation of learning how to communicate with these beings. And let me pick up Clarence. You say, I can see that being an excuse. Maybe all of her memories are off a bit, plus the fact that they could have used transporters in a few prior episodes. Exactly. That's my thing. Like, why didn't they use the transporter? I am in complete agreement. She has to be kind of blind to what's on that ship when they had to turn off a lot because she didn't even know what was powering the ship. She didn't remember her first crew. So there's a lot that she doesn't remember, but dang, they erased her completely to the doggone transporters or to, and maybe even to the species, which is why she didn't feel some kind of way when she entered the Hirogen space. And I keep going back to that because that was the first little name drop that I remember, as we entered to figure out how far into the Delta Quadrant we were. Going into Hirogen space, she didn't remember how dangerous that would be. She didn't warn the crew, and yeah, it's a lot that she's just off. She's Janeway, but she's missing a few hollow screws. The aliens on the planet that they went to was beautiful, and I guess these crystals that Nandi says she needed, I guess they are, I don't know, they're needed. Each and every one of them are necessary for this planet to survive. So Nandi just starts ripping the flipping crystals out and sticking them in her little satchel and didn't even care. She was ripping them. She was ripping them like this was nothing to her, but this is part of this planet, maybe even part of the species where they're feeling this. Oh gosh. So of course, she did all of that because she wanted the crystals to, and I still can't remember what she needed these crystals for. I gotta read this. I don't remember what she needed the crystals for or what she said she needed them for. Um, she also talked about needing chimerium to power her cloaking device. This heifer got a cloak, Klingon cloaking device. I wonder where she got that from. But anyway, they were transported back up to the ship, and that's when Dow decided to use the transporter to put those crystals right back where they belong. I don't know. I feel like I missed something. I feel like I forgot to talk about a part. But yeah, the crystals were very important to these aliens and to their planet. And Nandi did not give 0 Fs. She was still in what she considered to be, I guess, this big bounty. You said, why did it need chimerium particularly? Was chimerium used before in Star Trek? Well, we're gonna have to find out. We're gonna have to find out. And I'm gonna look it up in just a minute to see. But you said, oh, and will we see this planet again? We sent the comm badge to a planet that hadn't had any contact with any alien beings, but now this comm badge is on the planet. So will that influence this planet in any way moving forward? Or was first contact a bust? And was the prime directive broken by sending that comm badge back down there? Now we're gonna see Diamond Nandi again, because she tells Dow, after she steals this chimerium from the protostar and now cloaked her ship, that we'll meet again. But also she found out that there is a bounty on the ship, and she's gonna help the diviner get the ship from or go and try to get this ship from the crew of the protostar. Let me see. I gotta look up chimerium, huh? Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Because I want to know too. Did they use chimerium somewhere else? Was that part of our understanding of how ships were able to cloak? I had never heard of. I don't think I've heard of this. I don't think I heard of it. Oh, you better than me, Clarence. You got there. And I'm gonna just take your word for it. You said looks like chimerium first appeared in the novels written by David Mack, who serves as a consultant on Prodigy. So yeah, that makes us. Yeah, he's gonna put stuff that he introduced. If he's serving as a consultant, stuff that he introduced in the novels will now become canon. That's yeah. It doesn't say that it was necessary for freaking uh cloaking ships though, huh? Single large crystal sufficient to purchase a small starship. It could also be used to create a chimerium cloak. Charles Lamora was rich in chimerium, particularly in the deep core. It was mined by slaves. A chimerium cloak was a type of cloaking device based on chimerium. Duh. So it looks like, yeah, everything is pointing me back to Prodigy. So okay, so we just learned something. We learned that that in this iteration of Star Trek, chimerium is something that they can use to make a ship cloak. Let me make sure there's nothing else. Nothing else. Yeah, I don't see anything else. So I am going to just say, okay, this guy who wrote the books introduced it in the books or in the novels, and now we have it introduced into Star Trek proper through Prodigy. Now, I know we're not supposed to, and when I write these little blurbs, I'm writing it exactly the way I'm thinking it. And I know we ain't supposed to judge a book by its cover, but how the fuck y'all didn't know that this lady was a villain? Only thing missing on this lady was the pointy mustache. All she needed was to come off that ship twirling her mustache, and it would have been like classic villain. Going back to her face, I mean, she looked like she up to no good. Again, I know I'm not supposed to say that. But she does. She looks like she up to no good. And I'm dying off of this chain. I'm really dying off of the chain around her neck. And yeah. So here we are now. We're back to the diviner is coming for they butts. I'm wondering how long will it be before we run into him again? Because yeah, it's been a cool couple episodes without him. with very little of him. And gosh, I wonder how much of this story are we going to get through this season? Are we going to meet back up with Chakotay? Are we going to meet was the intended that word intended crew for the Protostar? So yeah, those are things that I'm looking forward to finding out. Of course, the ship design of Nandi's ship is very, very Ferenginar. It matches the aesthetic that had been set up in the previous dealings with the Ferengi and their ships. So I thought that was cool. Of course, this is them eating. Not only are they eating pizza, they're eating the right kind of pizza. Because I'm from the Chicago area. It's deep dish, super deep, not just a regular deep dish. Chicago style deep dish pizza is now this one don't look Chicago style because it got a little crust on the top. No, that's supposed to be an open faced pie. deep layers of cheese and your veggies and all of that good stuff. If you haven't had a Chicago style pizza, you have not lived. Clarence said, also, can the diviner even reach them now in the Gamma Quadrant? I have a feeling the crew will eventually have to go back to the Delta Quadrant for some reason. And yeah, and like especially with this Janeway who doesn't seem to remember this Janeway who don't seem to remember what the purpose of this ship is. It's like, okay, we were in the Delta Quadrant, so that's got to be, we would have to think that that's where the crew is. That's where the ship was found. That would have to be where the crew is in some way, shape, or form. The crew is in the Delta Quadrant. So yeah, they will have to go. They're gonna have to go back. They're gonna have to go back. There is an episode that I'm thinking of, and I don't know, an episode of Voyager that I'm thinking of, and it may or may not tie in. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. The episode of Voyager was when Janeway and I forgot who else, B'Elanna, all of them were sent to a planet where their memory had been wiped. They felt like they were part of this planet. And they were all getting jobs on this planet. I can't remember the name of the episode, and I know they were all working. They all began to form a life on this planet before Chakotay came and saved them. Now, I don't know if something like that can be going on where we got to figure out where the crew is, because at some point they've been brainwashed into believing that they're part of this society and could even be the same society. You know, I'll have to look at Voyager's episodes and see if I remember which episode it was, how far into the seasons it was even. It's burning me up that I don't remember even like what season. Seemed like it was later seasons though. If you know what I'm talking about, Clarence, they were Janeway was felt like she had been transferred to a new department. She was working alongside these people. B'Elanna and Tom both felt like they belonged together in this new universe, but they knew they had some type of connection with one another, but they just didn't because they were new people on this planet. I really can't remember. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't remember. Um, and of course, this box that's hanging out with Nandi. I don't know what the box is all about, but it is looking at the specs of the protostar, and they got their ideas of things that they can do with this thing. And finally, gosh, my mouth. This one gets a 4.25. Simply because for me, it slowed things down a bit. It was a necessary slowdown. We necessarily had to stop for a second, catch our breath, and Prodigy has been good at doing that. Prodigy is not moving at a breakneck speed every week, a la Discovery. Prodigy is giving us an opportunity uh, to slow down and get our bearings while still advancing the story. And I like that. That's good writing. The animation has always been top tier. So I'm looking forward to what we got coming next week. And it feels like these weeks are going so fast. We'll be back to Discovery in just a matter of a couple of weeks now. But this was a welcome respite for me. I enjoyed hanging out, or I'm still enjoying. It's not over. I'm enjoying hanging out in the Prodigy, on the Prodigy side of things, and working. It's still giving me something to chew on as far as, okay, what are we doing next, and what are we doing next? So it's giving me some stuff to chew on, but it's not an overwhelming fast. It feels like my heart's beating a mile a minute because I'm trying to keep up with everything that's going on. And that is what Discovery does, which is why I feel like with Discovery, we need to slow down for a minute. We need to give us a second to get to know the crew, because it's sad that in 7 episodes, I feel like I know more about Dal and Gwen and Murph. We're learning more about how Janeway has found herself in this predicament. Um, we got a lot of backstory on these characters in a half an hour a week for 7 weeks, whereas we have been dealing with Discovery 45-ish minutes a week for 4 seasons, and we still haven't gotten the the development that we need for the other members of the bridge crew. The stories are shaky um, if they're not moving at breakneck speed. If that makes sense. Oh yes, Clarence. One full season of serialized episodes for Discovery, then go back to the mystery box, and or because I think you said it before and I am in complete agreement, just do some short treks. Do some short treks with us seeing like bottle episodes, just like the one with it was a bottle episode, but it still came back and meant something in the grand scheme of things. Like that one, uh, I know what you meant, Clarence, and I said the same thing as a self-contained episode. Yeah, I got what you meant. But yeah, we need to do that. We can even, like we've been saying, do it in the short tracks. Uh, do one centering around each one of these bridge characters, like we did with Tilly, when Tilly was trying to come to grips with her relationship with her mother, and then she meets this alien in on the bridge. I mean, on in the not the bridge, on the lower decks of the ship. So yeah, I think that would work. Just give us something to get to know these characters, because if you spend 45 minutes you spend a half an hour to 45 minutes on each one of these characters, we can learn quite a bit about our Discovery characters. But I truly appreciate the fact that Prodigy is doing it in half the time. They're not using a bunch of the story to introduce these characters. They're introducing the characters through the story, and that is how it should be. That's how things should be written. And now I'm getting into Peacemaker territory. Did you watch Peacemaker, Clarence? Because it's looking like it's just me and you in here anyway. So if you haven't watched it, I'm gonna just give some very high level thoughts, very high level, without going into deeply into spoilers. Because there were 3 episodes dropped on HBO Max on that first day. The first one was A Whole New World. Okay, you haven't watched it yet. The second one was Best Friends for Never, and I think I liked that one the best of the 3. And then there was Better Golf Dead, and it's in the style of a James Gunn movie, except for it ain't a movie. He's got time. And what he uses that time for does start to make me like Peacemaker. I not like him. I the more we get to know him, the more I say, okay, I understand exactly why he is what he is, or why he does what he does. He's a character in DC Comics who I was wholly unfamiliar with until the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn version of the Suicide Squad. And I rather enjoyed the Suicide Squad as a whole, but John Cena is always there delivering his lines to me. He's not embodying the character in his movies. I felt like this way back in like G.I. Joe or something like that. He just delivers his lines and he's John Cena. So, okay. But in this Peacemaker thing, in this thing, he's doing more than delivering his lines. You're finding a little bit more of a depth to John Cena. And having and John Cena showing a little more depth is giving more depth to the character, if that makes sense. I think that working with a director like James Gunn is probably beneficial to his development. And I'm wondering if James Gunn had the same effect on Dave Bautista, because again, we can see an improvement over time of Dave Bautista's acting, which gives his characters more believability. And this is the same thing I'm seeing now with John Cena's Peacemaker. And I'm wondering if the common denominator being James Gunn is the answer to why these actors are able to bring these over the top ass characters, especially Peacemaker. And if you want to really laugh, do yourself a favor and just watch the opening sequence of Peacemaker. It's a laugh. It is. And it's totally unnecessary, but it is also very James Gunn. And the musical choices, all James Gunn. It smells like James Gunn. Just smells like him. And if you liked James Gunn's work with the Suicide Squad, then I think you might like this. Angus is in this thing. Didn't know you were here, sir. You said their acting gets better the further they get away from wrestling. Imagine that. Imagine that. Because there are few wrestlers. When I used to watch it back in the day, there are very few wrestlers who bring the proper type of charisma to the role, whether they're that baby face or that heel. And with a person like for instance, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, uh, that can switch every couple of weeks. One week you're a babyface, the next week you're a heel. But he brought a different level of acting to his roles, as did Stone Cold Steve Austin. As did the dude who played what is his not the Undertaker, because like the Undertaker is just a one trick pony to me. He has been, but Kane, the guy who played Kane, he did a level of acting because you never heard him say anything. Mick Foley, so there are some who actually act, and then there are others who are just wrestlers who they got saying lines or delivering a story arc. John Cena, I thought he was an actor even in wrestling, but I'm seeing that he's got far more of a range than I gave him credit for. I didn't give him credit for being an actor. And here we are. I'm saying he's doing a better job. I'm not saying, oh, and he's going to win an Emmy. I'm not saying that, but I am saying he's doing a better job being an actor in this series. Angus said, just got here, gonna start setting up a damn alarm to remind me it's Sunday at 4 p.m. So yeah, so where are you at, Angus? I know I've asked you this before, so forgive me for not remembering. But where are you in the world? So yeah, I'm not gonna spoil everything about Peacemaker. About how we're even getting this. Okay. About how we're even getting this series. Uh, yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it. I think it's something, again, like I said at the top, with any new series moving forward, we're gonna give it 3 episodes, and if there is a consensus that nobody wants to watch this this series anymore, um, then we'll move the F on to a new series. But right now, these 3 episodes, while I'm not like super overly impressed, I am impressed enough, and I am interested enough in the story to keep watching. Like there was one series, Stay Close, Netflix. I never got to the point where I even cared to know what was going to happen next. Like the characters, the story, none of it grabbed me. I didn't care. I don't care about these characters. Thus, I don't care how this thing turns out. Therefore, I stopped watching. There are those who think that it was a pretty decent story. It just never grabbed me. And if you've got 8 episodes to do it, and you can't grab me in the first 3, I don't need to watch it. You're not doing nothing but but aggravating me at this point. Peacemaker is not an aggravation. I feel like it's worth it. And I'm going to go a little further. I'm not going to jump out this window just yet. But there are those who said this is the best thing that DC has done on TV. I still, even though I stopped watching it because it's been running so long, I still have a very strong affinity in my heart for the Flash, for Black Lightning, the early episodes of Black Lightning. Dang, what else did I get into of those CW shows? Those were Arrow. The first 3 seasons of Arrow. Oh, Clarence. Oh, you're right in a lot of ways. But I mean, some of those shows I did gravitate towards in the beginning. And then as better shows were starting to be done, I'm like, this ain't that good anymore. So yeah, but this might be the crown jewel of DC television. It's definitely not Titans. Titans, maybe the first season or 2 was good enough to keep me, but if things are not getting better as the seasons go on, you lose me. Peacemaker is something And I don't know how long they even plan on doing this thing. But Peacemaker is off to a good start. I'll say that. Angus said, I love the daughters in Black Lightning, and Clarence beat him to it. Clarence, yeah, you moved a little too fast for him. It isn't a very high bar with DC content. Hopefully that's about to change. Did y'all happen to see what's the young girl's name that's going to be playing Batgirl in the Batgirl movie? Did you see the costume for that Batgirl? Now, part of the problem with DC, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, because I could very well be wrong. Part of the problem with DC is they don't have a direction. And when this really loud group of people start complaining about stuff, they hurry up and change whatever there was, that plan that they had in that moment. They hurry up and change it for that loud group of fans, when they're not fans at all. They are just people who their whole vibe is to complain. And I can't understand why they keep making these changes, because now this time, with this outfit, with this costume for this Batgirl, comic accurate. And here we got more complaints. They complained about the Riddler in the new The Batman movie. Oh, that Batman, that Riddler looked like Kanye West. This is early Batman, which means these are early his villains, because Riddler, it appears in this The Batman movie, he created himself specifically for Batman. And if this is an early Batman, this is an early Riddler as well. But you can't tell that to those people. You just can't. Claire said, I think those shows go bad when they start to milk them, and that you saw some set photos, but not the costume. Let me see. I can't remember the girl's name. Is it Leslie Grace? Yeah, Leslie Grace. Batgirl costume. Let's see if I can get it up here for you. See if I can get it up here. And she strikes up a very, she looks good in it. She looks good in the suit to me. Let me see. Now tell me this ain't the suit. This is the suit. And let me see. Of course, you only going to show me this part of the damn suit. Okay, let's just go back. Batgirl is not only she's just gorgeous in the suit. The suit, everything about this is to me kicks ass, and it looks like the comic book. People complaining it's not tight enough. It's not this enough. This is one of the things that I like the most about the era that we're in right now, where, look, I'm not about to just be wearing tight clothes just because. This shit got to be functional. I've got to be able to kick ass in this suit. I can't kick ass when the suit is painted on. This suit is tight enough. You can see her curves and everything. Yeah, pants are critical to kicking ass. I'm not trying to show my whole hoo-ha while I'm beating you up. Everything about this to me says they understood the assignment. At least the person who was making her costume understood the assignment. Now I don't know about the writers. I'm not, we got to find out. But I think this is the Batgirl that they are so concerned is going to take over for Batman in the Justice League as far as the movies are concerned. And I'm like, and if she does, Flashpoint is establishing that there are 700 universes for DC. So why not in one universe have a Batgirl or Batwoman or whatever we're calling her? Why not have a female in this universe when we know that there are other universes that is completely male, completely male? You said also they may want uh, to be taking a more realistic approach to her suit creation, like Amazing Spider-Man. I think what they're trying, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me like they're trying to make her kind of benefactor be her benefactor, and the person who's making her suits and helping her out early on is the Michael Keaton Batman, which again even more tells me that you should realize that these are alternate universes as far as the complainers are concerned. The whiners should realize these are different universes, because in the Batman or in the Flash movie, we're going to see the Ben Affleck Batman for the last time. We're going to see the Michael Keaton Batman. And then we know we also have a Robert Pattinson Batman. So all of these Batman tells you that there are multiple realities. And in each one of these realities, all of these things can be true. That we can have a female Batgirl being in the Justice League, but also have a Batman who was one of the founding members of the Justice League. I don't understand what people who have been reading comic books forever and ever and ever, I don't understand why they don't get the whole multiple universe aspect. And now you can tell stories in all of these different universes and not hurt anybody's feelings. Is that like we're about to see multiverse of madness? We're about to see Doctor Strange fighting Doctor Strange at some point, or maybe at least joining in with the Strange Supreme and the Doctor Strange. They're going to join together in an alternate universe. That's not confusing to Marvel fans, but for some reason, these DC fans who have been reading these multiple universe stories for forever and ever, they're not able to get a handle on it. They are so afraid of losing their voice. The whole misogynistic thing. Angus says there are entire story arcs in comics dedicated to all female superhero teams versus all female supervillains. And I gotta say, I'm here for it. I'm down with it. Kevin Conroy is your Batman, and I love Kevin Conroy. Love Kevin Conroy as Batman and Mark Hamill's Joker. Just like there's a black Joker on gosh, I don't know if it's Batwoman on CW. There's a black Joker, and Twitter is losing its entire shit over the fact that there's a black Joker in this little pocket ass universe of DC stories. Y'all complaining about that? Are you serious? And I'm like, I don't care what color the Joker is, as long as he got jokes, as long as he is still the Joker under all that white paint. I don't care what color he is. Be the Joker. If you're the Joker, be the Joker. Am I expecting too much? From other fans? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. DC is trying to feed y'all this year. And I'm saying y'all because I'm going to watch it. But as far as these stories, I'm giving them a chance. Tell the story. If the story is good, it'll stand for itself. All the rest of your decisions, will be nothing if you telling a great story. And that's all I want. I want a great story from DC. Angus said, I didn't have a problem with a black Heimdall. I don't have a problem with a black Joker. Because if you're telling a good story, now Heimdall, he was part of that Thor shit, and those were not the best MCU stories until we got to Ragnarok. And the other two was okay. I mean, I thought the first one was okay. I liked it. That second one, the third one, and even the first one was one of the weaker Thors. The first Thor movie was one of the weaker MCU entries, even though I liked it. The second one I didn't really like. I put that at the bottom of no. The only thing that I put below Thor: The Dark World on my power rankings of MCU movies, the only thing I put below Thor: The Dark World is the Hulk movie. And the reason why is because it doesn't fit. We haven't done anything else, and it doesn't fit to me. Angus said there was a Dark Horse comic series called Grendel in the late 80s that portrayed these hero villain identities as their own entities, separate from the human hosts. And they would move around. So the entity, the hero or villain, lived within the host, but they were their own multiple personality. You said Hulk is a hard movie to make. In what way, Angus? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the statement. The Ang Lee Hulk, while cartoonish, wasn't terrible to me. I could be convinced. I haven't watched it in years. I think that might be a superhero movie that was just a one and done for me. Like, I watched it, I was okay with it, and I moved on. You loved Ed Norton's Hulk so much, makes you sad. And I think Ed Norton was who was hard to work with. Because I think you even see that he had a screenwriter's credit because he changed like everything, all the dialogue, which I'm gonna say I guess it worked as far as the dialogue was concerned. But I didn't like him too much. I didn't like Ed Norton as the Hulk. Angus said Ang Lee did a fantastic job with the material, but what other story could you craft from Hulk smash tank? And you also said Ed Norton is notoriously hard to work with. Yeah, I heard he was a handful. And Clarence said Eric Bana was good too in a totally terrible movie. He and Jennifer Connelly. See, you and me, we ain't seeing here with the it was a bad movie. I will say it wasn't the greatest movie, but I think I liked it. I liked it better than the MCU version of the Hulk. And the biggest reason why is because the MCU version Hulk was setting up an arc that never got fulfilled with that iteration of the Hulk. Then we move away and then we go into this Mark Ruffalo version of the Hulk, and he didn't fit the arc at the beginning. It's like the Hulk's story is so disjointed. They tried to close out the arc with this whole, or at least give us a middle of an arc with the whole Smart Hulk thing, but it was just it was messy. Yeah, Norton did channel Bixby. Yes, he did do a better job of lining his character up with the Banner that we knew, even though that was David Banner. David Banner. That was David Banner, and this is Bruce Banner. We did get a glimpse of Planet Hulk in Thor Ragnarok, yes, and I'm wondering if we will see more of that, if we get, like a Secret Wars-ish type of story, if we will see a little bit more of that Planet Hulk version. Yeah, She-Hulk, since she keeps her smarts while she's big and green, that has a lot of potential. I agree that there is a lot more road ahead in front of you to gain speed with a character that still is that still is in control of her mind. So yeah. So with our MCU stories, we go one way. I really hope that the DC diehards will give shit a chance. Let them put out some movies and give it a chance. You said he wasn't Professor Hulk at the end of Shang-Chi. I wonder if he'll get more development in She-Hulk. And I'm wondering too, because at the end, I'm wondering where in the timeline is Shang-Chi, because he wasn't Professor Hulk, but he didn't have it, and he still had his arm in the sling, right? So it looks like he had maybe just transformed back into regular Hulk, right? Or regular Banner, because he still had the arm in the sling, so he was still healing from that. But he wasn't like in the She-Hulk, and what we have seen so far of him, he's using both of his arms. He's big and green and smart, but he also has full functional use of his arms, which means this had to have happened before the events of Avengers Endgame. So if that's the case, then where the hell was She-Hulk during Endgame? If that makes sense. Ooh, Clarence, just make it better than Hawkeye, please. Oh gosh. I liked Hawkeye up until the fumbling of the ending. You said he still had the sling in Shang-Chi. Yeah, but when you look at the stuff for She-Hulk, no sling. So either in Shang-Chi, that stuff happened right after Avengers Endgame, right after the battle and all of this stuff, and he was still in the sling. And then in She-Hulk, he don't have the sling, but he's big and green again. I don't know if I'm making sense about this whole thing. He either either She-Hulk got her powers before the end of Endgame because he still had functional use of both of his arms, or this happened after Endgame and he turns back into the smart Hulk again. I don't know. You said you agree it was all fives until the last episode. Yeah. That last episode, man. That last episode, they was in a hurry. They thought they had more episodes or something left, and they rushed to close it out. Because I can even remember, and I believe it was the 5th episode, I'm like, I don't know how they about to shut all this down. They introduced a lot of things without giving us any confirmation about where the story was going. They introduced so much, and then now you juggling all these balls, and you're gonna have to drop one, and they dropped the freaking ending. You said you wanted the theory to be true that if it wasn't Banner at all in Endgame, but Loki posing as Banner. And I mean, would that have made things better for the character? Because then we had to wonder where the heck our character Hulk was. I don't. He just didn't. They had so many moving parts in Endgame. Hulk is so overpowered that they had to make him a lesser Hulk to make the story right. And while it is a creative decision that we've seen made in other series, for instance, Titans and stuff, I hold the MCU in a higher regard than I do these little series. If you couldn't tell the story with Hulk and you have to dumb him down basically or smarten him up to tell the story, then maybe he shouldn't have been a part of the story. Yeah. Banner gives her, oh gosh. Said Banner gives her a transfusion, and that's what makes her She-Hulk. He might not do that if the Hulk is still hanging about. But if he believes that the Hulk is gone forever, he might think it's safe. But did you see the trailer or the little sneak peeks that we got on Disney Plus Day? Because on Disney Plus Day, they show him with her in the Gamma Lab. He's teaching her how to control the power that she obviously had to have gotten from this blood transfusion. So he's trying to teach her how to control this power. And he's big and green. He's Professor Hulk. He doesn't have a sling on his arm. Yeah, I wish I could show it to you, Angus, without without getting my feed cut, but I have learned my lesson. Yes, I have. Yes. So he's big and green. And he is teaching her how to control herself in the gamma container that he has her in. But he don't have a sling on his arm. So either this happened way after Endgame and he healed up, so it have to happen way after Shang-Chi as well. But then it makes me think, oh, you're gonna hunt it down? Okay. But then it also makes me think that if she was available, or this whole thing happened before Endgame, and if it happened before Endgame, I'm wondering why she wasn't in Endgame. And if it happened way after Endgame, I'm wondering if Smart Hulk has the ability to keep changing back and forth from Banner to Smart Hulk and back and forth, So we got some questions about the Hulk himself that we have to, I guess we're gonna have to wait to get answers to. But and I don't know if like the question I'm posing makes sense, because Hulk, I guess the more we sit and talk about it, it is a tough nut to crack. Simply because it takes a lot of CG. and I'm surprised because I know I was saying something about Tatiana Maslany. I'm like, gosh, she really looks good green, but that's her CG, right? They're doing an entire CG for this entire series, and I'm like, yeah, I said some crazy stuff when I. It did, it did. It looked like it was plucked from that era. Clarence, that ad looking section of the trailer looks very 80s. You wouldn't like me if I'm angry. So you think it might be a lot of flashbacks too? So yeah, I'm gonna have to, of course, the only way we're gonna get real answers is if we watch the series. But I'm just like, you guys are posing questions with these series sometimes that I don't know if you realize that they're posing. Now, some of the questions I know they're expecting, because once we saw WandaVision and all the questions that we as an audience had was up on that whiteboard, I'm like, okay, so they knew ahead of time that these would be the very questions that we would be asking. So now I'm asking a very important question to me is, when did She-Hulk become She-Hulk? Because the visuals of our original Hulk are confusing me. But yeah, freaking DC fans, give these people a chance. Let them make something. I want it to be good. I want to see a good Superman story. Another one, because I didn't have problems with some of the others. But okay, I want to see a good Superman story told. I want to see a good we saw one good Wonder Woman. Please let us return to that with Wonder Woman, the third, to round out her trilogy. And I want to see some good Batman stories. And I want the whining to be to a minimum. I can't uh I can't block every term that these people use because eventually I won't have anything coming up on my feed. But that's Snyderverse, all that bullshit, all of that has been blocked. I don't see that on my Twitter feed at all. At all, sir. Shucks. I don't want to see it. Um, Whiners gonna whine. Yep. I don't want to hear it. I mean, I know I whine too. But damn, am I toxic? Really? Because that's really what the whining has become with that Snyderverse, release the Ayers cut. All of that foolishness has become very toxic within the fandom. Like just a fandom divided. Gosh. And now you just not. I'm not going to see it if it ain't Zack Snyder. Well, Zack Snyder ain't making no more. Ben Affleck don't want to be Batman, and it's probably because of this freaking toxic ass fan base. Yeah, a lot of the problems within the universe is because the fans are creating the problems. Would you want to work in a universe as an actor? You come in and you're doing your best job with the material given to you, and all you hear is how bad your product is. If it's bad, if it's a bad product, okay. But then you're talking about specific actors and specific arcs that these people wrote. The actor don't have no control of that. So, anywho, we've been going for a little minute, guys. I think, and I'm not going to do Peacemaker because I'm the only person I think that's watched it. I didn't ask you, Angus, did you watch Peacemaker yet? Or do you intend to watch it? I'm trying to see. I can't remember. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna watch it. Okay, well, I'm not gonna talk about these first 3 episodes just yet. If you guys have watched it by next week, let me know if you thought these 3 episodes uh are good enough to continue to follow the show. I'm gonna continue to watch it, but we don't have to talk about it on Sundays if I'm the only person watching it week by week. You said you're hoping for that sweet, sweet Elba cameo. You know, watch it. watch it, and I'm gonna say we might have seen all we're going to see of Elba. But let me know when you watch it what you think. So with that, and I guess I can tell you. Nope, I'll wait to even give you what I thought as far as the ratings were concerned. So with all that, and I didn't put in one spoiler. We just talked all kinds of spoilers about all kinds of shows. And I look over here in my freaking email address. So if you've got any questions, comments, complaints, concerns, feedback, you can send it to that email that's floating across your screen right now that I meant to have spoiler warnings, but I did not. So anywho, yeah. And I'm gonna try to do this Tuesday thing with Euphoria again. We will see if I do Euphoria conversation on Tuesday. It'll be 6 o'clock. If you are part of the Facebook group, the Hangout, from After the Snap, if you're part of the Facebook group, then you'll see a thumbnail come up there saying that I'm going to talk about this episode of Euphoria. And if not, we'll talk about it when we talk about it. I can't stand you sometimes, Clarence. As an alternative, watch that other Elba superhero movie, Hobbs and Shaw. And I thought it was so funny. And I didn't touch on it at all. I think I talked to Clarence about it really briefly, how The Rock said no to coming back to Fast and Furious. And I'm like, now what did you think he was gonna say? And he waited till after Christmas. So one of the arguments, or one of the things that was supposed to persuade The Rock when he was talking, sending out this open letter. I mean, when Vin Diesel was sending out the open letter to The Rock, one of the things that was supposed to persuade him is, my kids call you at Christmas and tell you happy Christmas and all this. And I don't think it was a coincidence that Dwayne Johnson didn't announce that, hell no, I'm not coming back. I already told you I'm not coming back to the Fast franchise. He waited till after Christmas. So I bet you he called the kids just as usual, sent their little gifts and told them Merry Christmas, and then was like, now I'm going to go and crush your daddy's whole spirit. What did you think he was going to say when you tried to manipulate him into being back in the Fast and the Furious franchise? But yeah, that had nothing to do with what Clarence was saying, but it just made me think about it. So yeah, I'll see you Tuesday if you guys are going to be here for Euphoria. And if not, hopefully you'll join me on Wednesday for the Midweek Meltdown. That is Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And as is our Euphoria discussion, if I decide that I'm going to go through with it, that'll also be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. So, with all that being said, I've got nothing else. It's been fun, per usual. I'm glad. I'm glad that you were able to join me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Good night, guys. Peace.